Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Toon podcast, the Southern Hemisphere's biggest and best podcast for all things Champions League hungover Newcastle United. Tonight, joined by Jack and Lee, salivating in grand final week up in Brisbane. How are you guys?
Absolutely. Celebrating grand final week. What a weekend of sport it's been for Brisbane-based Newcastle United fans.
Glorious weekend.
One for the ages.
Yeah, it was pretty much the perfect weekend, wasn't it? Especially with the Magpies losing as well. Just like everything just came in this weekend. It was absolutely sensational.
That's the thing. So before we get started any further, give us a like, chuck a comment on, and sub as well. We're 50 off 1,500 on YouTube. So if you're not subscribed already, we highly encourage you to do so and jump on the journey with us. It's been fun so far. But I think as well, before we get started, there's probably going to be a lot of 8 puns in tonight. So we just want to give everyone a forewarning that our shit dad jokes are probably going to continue for the next 45 minutes or so. So we get in early and apologise for that. Jack, I'll come to you, mate. What the hell happened last night?
I don't know, honestly. And I don't know what order the goals happened in. I don't know what happened. It was just crazy. Like I was up at 1:30 watching it. First 20 minutes was, we were probably second best, really. And then after that, it was just an absolute cricket score. You don't expect to see this kind of thing in the Premier League. Obviously, it doesn't happen very often. So for it to happen for us, in an away game, it's just absolutely amazing. I kept on I was at work today thinking about it and then being busy at work and then remembering it all over again and thinking that can't have actually happened. We've just won 8-0 away. It's just amazing that feeling will probably continue for some time because that just doesn't happen. It's just ridiculous, really.
Yeah. So, Lee, we did mention off the top the Champions League hangover threat was already starting to sort of hover over St James's Park and stuff like that. But in probably 45 minutes later, the hangover was of dreams, really. I wish I had hangovers like that one.
Yeah, look, it was a slow start, wasn't it? I mean, first, like Jack says, first 20 minutes or something, we probably weren't the best team on the park. But it's just and obviously we suffered an early injury. We'll get to that in a minute, I'm sure. But it was one of those occasions where everything that we tried to do seemed to come off once we got going. Like once we got that first goal, and probably more like when we got the second, perhaps even the third, then everything just started to kind of go our way. And we've said before, we're the kind of team that if we smell blood in the water, we are just going to keep on going. And at one point, Jim Beglin on the commentary, the co-commentator, he was like, "How many goals do the Geordies want?" Like he was proper devil.
He was absolutely gutted, like somebody just his dog.
Exactly, yeah. Like he was kind of devastated that we were daring to score as many goals as we wanted. But it was that kind of game. It was just nuts.
Yeah. What did he say after? Was it the last one or the second last one? Sheffield United are deflated and Newcastle United are inflated or something like, mate, what is that?
He said imploded and exploded.
Exploded, yeah. I'm like, oh, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
So we'll get to the lineups. So we had, I think, 4 changes from the midweek side. Anderson came in for Tenali, and then we basically swapped our whole front 3 over. So Isak, Murphy, and Gordon were replaced by Barnes, Almiron, and Callum Wilson up front as well, which is a handy 3 players to chop and change with and stuff like that. Jack, I'm not going to ask if you're surprised because it's really hard now with the amount of games and the squad depth to actually be surprised or to be not surprised, I guess, with what our changes will be, especially in that front 6, I guess, because I think our back 4 and our keeper are pretty settled. But what did you make of the lineup when you seen it?
Yeah, well, it's the last game of a really tough week physically. We had 2 really hard games against Brentford and Milan, and then turning up at this, which could have been a hard game on paper, when we've come off the back of that Champions League game. So there's always going to be a bit of rotation, and this is what Eddie's got to do this season. He's got to learn how to use his squad. Like it's not dropping players; it's just bringing them out. We've got another game in 3 days' time, so it's just smart rotation. Probably got a bit lucky that Barnes went off because Gordon came on and played absolutely in. But I was pleased to see Anderson start again as well. That's 2 league games in a row he started for the first time, and he had a really good game as well. So the bench, we've said this so many times on this podcast, but we brought £200 million worth of players off the bench in this game. Like the last thing we'll get into, the last thing you want to see when you're losing 7-0 is Alexander Isak coming on, you know. So
and Sandro Tonali. Oh no!
So, like we've talked about the team we played in this game last time Sheffield United were in the Premier League. We had Ryan Fraser doing this false split 8 thing with Miggy or something that Steve Bruce was trying. So, like I like looking at that team. It's actually got some of the same players. We've still got Shah and Longstaff and Wilson, but they're all just different players now. Like, you know, they must be thinking they're in a dream. We're all in a dream after that. But no, it was a good team selection. Nobody expected it to go as well as it did, but we're a good team.
That's what good teams do. Lee, you've been, I wouldn't say crying out, but you've been questioning why the press has kind of disappeared a little bit lately. But I think with them front 3 rotating in, I think the press was back and really looked to put the heat on them and impose ourselves on the game really, really early.
I'm not so sure that the press was fully back, to be quite honest. I think Gordon man the match for me by some stretch. He at times and he's done it before, he was kind of dragging the team forward and he was chasing down lost causes and he was creating things for the team to then kind of get a little bit higher up the pitch. But by and large, I think mostly it was the midfield that kind of won the game. The Sheffield's midfield was pretty bad, really.
You can say
certainly in the second half. Well, you know, and then the defense kind of at 6s and 7s most of the time, and it just made it easier for us to play around, through, and behind. I don't particularly think we even needed a particularly high press. We just needed to be kind of a little bit keener to get into some tackles where I think, like, you know, last season the whole team was moving forward and chasing down everything. You're not really seeing that this season. I didn't really see it too much in this game either. But Gordon for me is the one who right now epitomizes everything that we did last season. And maybe through him we'll start to do a lot more this season. But I think you have to acknowledge that Sheffield were pretty bad on the day, and they made things quite easy for us.
Just a little bit, yeah. Just with Gordon though, I definitely remember when we signed him in January, and the knocks were, he can't finish, he can't do this, he can't do that, and then he's not fit enough. But I think definitely our recruiting department thought, no, he's got all their attributes. He's just not in a side where he can actually use them and flourish them. Like, it's great to be pressing and you can't shoot, but if you're basically a one-man band in a really poor Everton attack, like, a lot of the load sort of falls on him. And Calvert-Lewin was injured for a lot of the season, so it's not like he had a really prolific striker to pass the ball to and interchange with. And we're seeing now, like, I know it's early, but him and Wilson seem to be really striking up a really good relationship. And I think when Isak plays as well, he'll complement him even better, because I think his movement, the way he can drop deep and stuff like that, I really think that he's going to get better and better, which is crazy to think when 40 million was overpaid. I think pretty soon it's going to be a bargain, Jack.
Yeah. The signs were there with him in the summer that, you know, he scored against Chelsea in the last game of the season and he was looking a bit sharper. And then the signs were there in the summer at the Euros that he was good. We said as soon as he gets a pre-season with Eddie and he learns how he wants him to play, and he started almost every game. You know, I think this is the first game he hasn't started this season. So,
which and he come up and played 70 minutes out anyway.
Yeah, it's not just his pressing and his off the ball work. He's really good on the ball, creative. Like, he gets the ball, he'll come inside, he'll play little passes off. He should have had more assists. I said in the pre-season prediction pod, I think he's going to get 10 goals and 10 assists this season, and he's already got 2 of each, so he's tracking pretty well. But I didn't think he was going to be this good. Like, and I admit he's 22 years old. Like, he's going to be called up for England soon, because he's absolutely terrifying to play against. And it just shows you, you know, Maxi's gone now, but this is why we don't need him anymore. We've got Gordon and Barnes who can play in that position, and he's just an absolute pleasure to watch, and he's player of the season so far by a distance.
And I know we didn't obviously see much of him last year because before he signed, we don't tend to put ourselves through the misery of watching, or sometimes it's pleasure watching Everton play and implode and things like that. But he looks so much happier, doesn't he? Like, he looks like he looks so happy when we score. He's getting around all the other boys, and actually looks like he's really enjoying himself now. So I think that elevates your performance as well. Like, not just elite sportsmen, like anyone. If you enjoy what you're doing, you tend to do it better and enjoy yourself more.
Yeah, I think so. And I think he's being valued. I think he probably felt a bit undervalued or not valued at all at Everton. Particularly when he's getting all kinds of shit from the fans, which you never want to see for a player, especially not one who's from the area and supports the club himself. But anybody who watched him when he first broke on the scene could see he had electric pace. He used to do a lot more dribbling. He used to take on his man a lot more when he first started. He's kind of reined that in a little bit, I think. But he's always been a very, very good player. And I was kind of surprised that there's so much negativity around the idea of signing him. And I wonder if a lot of it was just simply because he's Everton and Everton is shit and nobody from Everton should be getting our team. But it's just not the case. He's a fantastic talent. And as you say, he's really enjoying life. He said himself after the game that it's the best form he's ever been in his career, albeit he hasn't been for all that long. But he's kind of reaching the heights now that he probably always wanted to. And he also said that his dream is to play for England. Please don't go and get injured, for God's sake. But the way he's playing, as Jack says, the way he's saying it, the way he's playing, it's only a matter of time. If he continues to play like this and to kind of dominate games and drag teams forward, drag Newcastle forward, it's only a matter of time before he gets this recognition that I think he deserves. And hopefully he'll get a few goals while he's in the Newcastle team.
Yeah, he took his goal really well. I thought he missed that one earlier, which he probably should have scored, but I think he took that second one really, really well as well.
We were told he was a dickhead, but he really isn't. If you listen to him talk, he's pretty grounded. I think part of the problem was he dives, like he does go to the ground easily. So opposition fans don't like him because of that. And he played at St. James's once and he went to the ground. And part of it's just because he's quick and he gets knocked and, he does get caught and he goes down. But he just seems like a grounded, nice lad as well. And he's a perfect player for this system. And that's why they signed him and put so much money for him. But people are saying James Maddison's a bargain at 40 million. Gordon costs the same. He's younger. He's going to be
better for longer.
Bargain.
Yeah. I remember that first video when they were showing him around the training facility, and he went. I think it was Fabian Schär was getting some treatment on the table, and he looked a bit sheepish there. And I thought, well, he's not like he is just a shy, sort of humble kid. Like he's not coming in, and he was very sheepish. Like, oh, you can look after me now, and instead of trying to get me, and Schär sort of said, oh, you'll have to earn it first or something. They would have went, oh no.
Well, wasn't that following like a collision between the two of them in a previous game where Schär just offer me a little kind of shit kind of thing, and then he was coming in and thinking, all right, I'm on your side now. You're going to back me up. Something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that was really good. I just want to touch on something as well for Longstaff's first goal. So I thought it was handball. I think a lot of people on social media thought it was handball. Like the ball hit his hand, like clearly. But thanks to our intrepid reporter Lee, he found the actual ruling of the handball. So I'll read it. I've taken a photo of it. So if an attacking player's accidental handball immediately precedes another player from scoring, the goal will now be awarded. So that's why the goal stood. The actual rules changed in the last couple of years. So, I wasn't aware of it, so that's why I thought it was handball. But clearly, we've got someone who knows the rules, so it was good to have that cleared up. And
I was actually found it, so. I was on the Blades fan forum and someone else
put that you were going to say this.
I was like, hello, this is interesting. So I kind of dug out where it came from. And I mean, I think there was two things that they were kind of complaining about or questioning. And the first one was obviously, did it go out of play in the first place?
Yeah.
Which bloody hell, it was close. It was close. It probably would have if it hadn't hit his hand, funny enough.
Yeah.
Because that kind of stopped a lot of the momentum.
Stopped
and then
the momentum going back. Yeah.
Gordon had the sense and presence to just to get his toes to it before it kind of went right over the line. But when you look at it afterwards, right down the line, it's quite clearly not all the way over the line. And then the other question, as you say, was whether or not that was actually an infringement. And had Gordon went on and scored himself, that would have been ruled out because I guess it's deemed as an unfair advantage, even if it is accidental. But if he's able to play it to someone else, that's allowed. And I think this comes on the back of a couple of seasons ago where they were basically looking for every single little touch of everybody's hands at every single goal to say, like, all right, well, if it touched that, it doesn't matter what happens 2 minutes later or whatever, it's going to get ruled out. And everyone was complaining. So that's why that rule came in, if I'm not mistaken.
I just don't get the handball. Like, nobody really understands the handball rules in full, I don't think. So even this weekend, you had the incidents where it bounced off someone's leg and then hit his hand in the Luton game, and that was a penalty. And the same thing happened last week in our game, and that wasn't given as a penalty. So, like, I don't remember back in the day it ever being such a controversial thing, handball. Like, it was just handball.
No.
Maybe it's just because you get so many angles and so much scrutiny now, but like, no one really seems to understand fully every aspect of the handball rule. So it worked in our favor this time. So who gives a fuck, really? But
even our Ange doesn't even understand it. He said after the Arsenal Spurs game that he's got no idea what the handball rule is anymore. I mean, if the managers don't know, then what hope have we got of figuring it out? So I just want to touch on
Michael Owen.
Oh, he knows.
Michael Owen and Saul Campbell at halftime were saying it's a bit weird. I think Glenn Hoddle got involved as well because they were saying if it's a defender and hits the defender's hand, if it hits the defender's hand, usually that's going to be given as a penalty to the opposition team. But if it hits the attacking team's hand, did the guy score straight afterwards or did he set up someone else? So there's a kind of an imbalance there between the attack and the defense, and maybe some of that is where this confusion comes from. You know?
Yeah, because I mean the one Dan Byrne didn't get last week was similar like that, or we got given and then overturned and things like that. There was another one in one of the other games that was really similar as well that I think got given. Was it?
I think it was the Arsenal game. Maybe I haven't seen it, but something.
Yeah, happened. I remember it said like the hand was up and they had Dermot Gallagher on, obviously defending the referee's decision again because they're never wrong in Dermot's eyes. But just before we leave, Anthony Gordon, I just want to touch on Barnes' injury. He went off after, like we said, 20 minutes or so, which wasn't great. I think the reports are it's a toe injury from what I've read after the game. So hopefully that's not too sinister and he can get back as well, because especially with that Joel Linton still injured, we sort of are missing a little bit of cover now on the left, and we can't really expect Gordon to play every game.
He was seen leaving in the boot, so I'm not sure whether that's a bad sign or not. And Eddie Howe was, I think, fair to say, he was leaning towards it being a significant injury rather than nothing at all. So it's pretty bad for Barnes in his Newcastle career, just getting started.
Yeah, he's normally been pretty durable over his time at Leicester. I think he's played a lot of the time, so hopefully he's not out for too much longer. But I don't want to go into a blow-by-blow account because we'll be here for 4 hours discussing everything and stuff like that. So we'll try and keep it relatively generic. What was your favourite goal, Lee, out of the 8?
My favourite out of the 8. It still sounds crazy, doesn't it? Goal number 6, which was Miggy's. I just love the way this play was developed through Miggy and Bruno. So Bruno, I actually thought Bruno wasn't having a great game, and then I watched it back and I kind of thought, actually, it wasn't that bad. But he seemed to tire quite a lot in the game towards the end, like 75th minute when he got subbed off. He was looking a bit knackered. But he receives the ball from Miggy, who starts off the move, and he kind of runs behind him. And then
it's so weird,
he lifts around the left of him. He's probably said something like 1-2 as he runs behind him. And then Miggy's came around Bruno's left. And then the defense just like sort of went off, just buggered off.
Kind of like the red seat.
And left like a bloody motorway through the middle. And Miggy just kept on going. And it was a lovely ball from Bruno, fair enough, because it could have hit the back of Miggy's heels really easy. Miggy had to kind of do a little skip. But I just love the way that it was like a Son, like Son at Spurs, the way he kind of just sweeps the ball across the goal into the far corner. It was his only touch. He didn't control it. He just did that beautiful stroke with his left foot straight into the far corner, and I just thought that whole thing was absolutely sensational. I know you boys have, I know you've got a different one, haven't you?
Yeah, well,
we do.
Miggy's was nice just for the fact it was Miggy as well, because he just takes so much shit on social media all the time from people who I just don't think understand what he does in the team. And Burn does as well. So for them both to score and Burn to be part of 3 clean sheets, he's been monstrous at the back in this last week. So I don't think it will, but I just hope it makes people pipe down a bit who have just been basically acting like pricks on social media.
But that's Burnley's natural position now, isn't it? He's far more comfortable there now, in my eyes, than he is in the centre.
Yeah, well, he's played there for a season and a half now, pretty much. So but Wilson's goal. So this one just showed the confidence that as soon as we scored a couple of goals, the confidence just came seeping back into the team. And it's just amazing how much difference it makes. You're getting your foot on the ball. All of a sudden, you seem like you've got more space. You've got Shah driving into the box, playing it off for Trippier. Trippier's delivery today was absolutely out of this world. He got 3 assists in 25 minutes of football. I'm just looking at the times there. So his radar's been a little bit off sometimes over the last maybe 6 months or so, I'd say, towards the back end of last season as well. But he was absolutely back to his best in this game. And he just dinked it over for Wilson, who'd already missed a couple of chances as well. So he wasn't going to miss that one straight in front of the goal. And then that's Wilson up to 5th in the all-time Premier League.
I think he's only a couple behind. He'll be. So he's probably be 3rd by the end of the year, I reckon. By the end of the season.
So he's got like 15 and 18 appearances or something now. Yeah. So his goals per minute will be probably up there with Haaland, I would say, because he doesn't play a minute of every game. So
I think he was averaging one every 58 minutes. I think I heard for the calendar year, which is. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. And then you've got him and Isak fighting it out, and then Isak came on and got a much needed goal as well. So
so hopefully that sort of gives him a bit of a pickup as well. Like he hasn't had the best of months, I think, but he's had it. That's probably part due to the opposition we played against as well. He didn't really get much bite of the cherry, but I think that goal could do him the world of good. But we'll touch on him later on. We'll have a quick chat about the Man City Carabao Cup game coming up as well, and we'll touch on that. But just
before we move off that Wilson goal, a couple of things were funny on the commentary. Ando on the Newcastle commentary.
I haven't listened to the Newcastle one yet.
Yeah, right. So you see Shaw winding up like a Bramall, and you're thinking, here we go, it's going to be a classic. And you hear Ando go, just hit it, man, like that, already like 3-0 up or whatever it is. Just hit it, man. And then as he sort of spreads it to the wing, he's like, like that, like he's proper devil. And then a few seconds later, he's like, pretty much went through like every emotion that everyone in 5 seconds did. And then the commentator on the actual stream, he was like, Newcastle's fans, they've really taken Callum Wilson they've taken Callum Wilson to the heart. I'm like, mate, he's been here for like 3 years. He's 5th in the scoring charts for Newcastle. What the hell are you on about? We've loved him since he got here on day one. Like, crazy commentary.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he's probably the best number 9 we've had since Shearer, I think. I think most people would probably.
Denver bars in with a shout of that in terms of pure quality, I think. But
he was 19 though.
Oh, was he? Yeah, he didn't get the name. Yeah, Cisse had it.
Yeah,
Wilson's better than Cisse.
Yeah. So, just a couple of fun facts to end the game. So, 8-0 was Newcastle's biggest ever away win, their 2nd largest win ever in all competitions. The biggest was 9-0 against Southport in 1932 in the FA Cup. So, you can put that one in your trivia notes. First time Newcastle have ever scored more than 5 goals away from home. I think they've scored 5 twice, which was West Ham last year, and I think Coventry might have been the other one. 8 different scorers, the first time that's ever happened in the history of Newcastle as well, which is pretty cool. And that's all good, but nearly my favourite one is Sven Botman's first goal. in his 50th game, and he threatened a couple of times last year. I think Wilson or Murphy might have nicked one off the line last year from him, and it was a great header too. So I'm happy to finally see him get off the mark.
I love seeing the defenders score, because there's like obviously a defenders committee, like an internal defenders committee.
There is 100%.
As soon as one of them scores, everyone gets around each other, and they're all like kind of so happy that one of them's got a goal or something like that. You know, I love to see it. It's brilliant.
So it's obviously good that he scored, but the difference he makes in the team generally is just like, I think he's our most important player in terms of we miss him the most if he's injured, because the drop off, and it's not just the drop off in, you know, a replacement. It's the fact that Cher looks half the player when he's not there as well. He's just so calm, so assured. He went down holding his back at one point in the second half, which was a bit worrying, but he got up and he carried on. He's an absolute man mountain. And, you know, it's absolutely no coincidence that the team has started keeping clean sheets. Now he's back in. And also that Longstaff's been playing every game as well, because we said this after the Milan review. You can't ignore the fact that the balance is just better with Longstaff in there. You know, the team's more solid. Bruno knows what Longstaff's doing, and the team just seems to function better. Eddie said after the game that he thinks Longstaff is a goal scoring midfielder, and he does get in the areas. He should be getting 7 or 8 goals a season, really. And he probably will if he's going to be playing in this attacking team.
It'll be interesting to see what happens when Willock gets back. I mean, the goal that he scored in this game was very Willock-esque. You know, he was kind of on the outside of the box, and then the ball is cut back by Gordon, and he's already running in to meet it, you know. And I think it was Norwood who was basically just watching him do it. Didn't do a damn thing to stop him. But, you know, who would you kind of naturally choose to pick if you had to pick between Sean Longstaff and Joe Willock? Because I suspect right now would probably be Sean Longstaff, but I think Eddie Howe would probably be thinking Willock.
It probably depends on who they play as well.
Yeah. I think Longstaff wasn't fit at the start of the season either, was he? But like what you said earlier about pressing, Lee, made me think, you know, we were a pressing kind of a counter-attacking team a lot of the time last season, but this season, because, you know, we're better. We've got a target on our back a bit more. We have to have the ball more. We have to get used to playing with teams defending more. So we're not going to maybe get the opportunity to do that press the way we did, and we'll have to be better when we've got the ball. And that's what Tonali's been brought in for. But then there's the balance between not wanting to miss what Longstaff brings to the team and the structure of the midfield as a whole. So it's going to be really interesting, one of the kind of subplots of this season, how he ends up fitting all of these good midfielders into the centre of midfield. Because Anderson has come in now and he's started 2 games and he's looking really good as well. And this is all without Joe Linton and Joe Willock as well, like you said. So this is what I mean about Eddie's going to have to earn his money in terms of who he picks in which game, because if he gets it wrong and if we don't win games, he's going to be the one who's getting heavy criticism if he's left Willock on the bench or something when he's fit again, you know. So this is what the elite managers do. They learn how to use squads like this and keep everybody happy, all while still winning football matches. So this is what he's got to do. And he's made a good start. We've only been beaten by the 3 teams who are top of the table at the moment, so can't complain.
I think we got a good little, maybe 15-minute window where Tonali played as the sort of deeper midfielder and Bruno played a bit more advanced, and we scored 2 goals in that 10 minutes as well. So I think that was a good little opportunity just to try something, see how that works in a real game, because we know like this first sort of month has been a bit clunky with them 2 trying to figure each other out and Eddie trying to figure them out at the same time. So that's probably a good thing as well. But we'll quickly jump into the stats quickly. For those of you who are listening on the audio, Sheffield United had 42% possession. We had 57%. It was 22 shots to 9, 15 of them on target to 1. 801 touches for Newcastle, which is monumental. 621 for Sheffield. 444 passes to 602. 19 tackles each, which is nice. 24 clearances to 9. So it shows that we were on top. 5 corners to 2 and 3 offsides to 1. So that's a bit of a I did guess tail of the tape at the end of the game, but yeah, I'm not sure what was the XG, Jack. Did you manage to catch that?
Yeah, they got about 0.9 something, and we got just over 4. Yeah.
Of course you knew. Of course
I knew. Of course I knew. I knew it wasn't going to be 8, but I thought it was. It's very rare that teams get above 4. So yeah.
Seems obvious, but I think 15 goals on target will probably be some kind of record for us this season. Like that's not a bad return. I just want to ask before you move on though. There was a penalty decision as well in this game against Gordon. Did anyone have an opinion on that? Because I mean, there was definite contact in there, but obviously it wasn't given.
I think it was a penalty. Yeah.
I thought it was a penalty as well. Yeah.
I was just wondering. Wilson would have been upset that wasn't given because he hadn't scored.
He hadn't scored yet.
I was just thinking it was because Anderson, he went down first and he's on the ground, and then the ball goes to Gordon and he goes over as well. And I was thinking, is the referee sort of, because the Sheffield fans were constantly whinging about the diving, and to be quite frank, we were diving quite a lot in this game, as we kind of sometimes do, break up the play and so on. But I just wondered, was the referee trying to balance things up? VAR took a look at it and decided it was fine as well. But there was clear contact with Gordon. He goes down. And I just wondered if he went down a little bit wrong, if you know what I mean, because he was actually hit on his right foot and then he lets his left foot slip as he goes down. So I wonder if he just tried to buy it. But I mean, by the rules, surely if you've been kicked by the player, by the opposition in the box, that's still
I think if that happens anywhere else outside the box, it'd be a free kick. But for one reason or another,
was he getting done for simulation? Was he getting done for? Was the referee just trying to balance things up or something? Or what was getting influenced by the crowd? What on earth happened?
If that's the way you're going to look at it, I think it has to be one or the other. It's either a penalty or a yellow card for simulation to try and manufacture a penalty. I don't think there's anything in between that. And that's obviously what they did.
Neither happened.
But yeah, I thought it was a penalty. But then I thought that the first one was a handball until you rightly showed me the light and explained that it wasn't. We'll get to I love doing this. A 3-2-1, Jack. Your 3 votes. It's Bramall night for those in Australia, for those who aren't enamoured with the game of Australian rules football. So tonight we have our Night of Nights, as they call it. So they crown the best player for the season. Every game is voted on with a 3-2-1 by the referees or the umpires. So then that's how whoever has the most votes obviously wins the Bramall medal. So in true Bramall style, Jack, we'll go with your 3-2-1.
I think Anthony Gordon should win the Brownlow medal. But anyway, 3 votes. This is just hard because obviously everyone was good and pretty much everyone scored as well. But I think 3 for Botman because of his.
Botman.
Three's the best, isn't it? No, one's the best. Yeah.
Start at 1.
Start at 1. Okay, Botman for 1 then, because the first goal and the fact that he's sorted the defence out since he's come back in. So Botman for 1, Trippier for 2 because he got 3 assists, and he was absolutely brilliant, like outstanding. And Gordon was 1. I think for somebody who didn't even start the game, I'm so excited by what he's going to do this season. So he was man of the match.
Awesome, Lee. Your 3-2-1.
Gordon 3 for me, easy. He's been the difference lately, so I'm very happy to see my initial reaction when he was getting linked to us play out eventually. So 3 for him, 2 for Trips. Captain fantastic again, delivery on point. As Jack said earlier, it's not been quite there so much for a little while now. And I'm going to give 1 to Longy for that absolutely sensational assist for Bruno's goal.
Yeah, it was a good one. Great pass.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you what, though. That goal, though, what was amazing about the goal, apart from the finish, which was very calm and precise, that goal, that ball from Longy was a blammo. Like it was traveling, and Bruno just kind of swiveled.
It's just his top. He just stopped
in one move.
It was nothing. Yeah,
like it's not got fire on it, and then just launches it into the corner. Absolutely unreal skill. Unreal.
Bruno's obviously. He's obviously having another Geordie baby as well, by the looks of things. So
I wasn't sure if that was like the one that's just been, or if that was a new one. Yeah,
no, I think he's got another bun in the oven. I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame him.
Good news for us in 20 years.
Yeah, father sons, a couple of father sons coming through.
Being Real Madrid man.
Yeah, I don't say. Just on touches for goal. How's Isak sent that defender to the shops that first? Oh my God, you poor bastard. He has literally got ice in his veins, that man. Like, no, he never gets flustered inside the 6-yard box. He could have defenders or goalkeepers running out at him and stuff like that. He's stone cold, and his confidence is like unreal. The way he finishes in front of goal.
The way that they just gave the ball to him, like Sheffield United just gave up in this game. Like it was like I didn't feel sorry for them because I wanted to score 10 goals, but it was like you don't want to say that from your team. Like they were just fucking terrible. Like they looked like a pub team. Like after the first 20 minutes, as soon as we scored, we were just cutting through them, and it's kind of embarrassing for the Premier League in a way to see that happen because it just shouldn't happen. Usually, promoted teams in recent seasons have been doing a bit better, but none of them this season have started very well. So,
no.
And this was just embarrassing.
Anyone who gives Tom Davies a job just deserves to get this kind of this kind of performance from him. He was dreadful. Like I think he did one thing that was all right, and the rest of the time he just looked absolutely terrible. Like he was a
that was him who headed it back, wasn't he? Headed it back
but he was a bystander for the
got an assist.
He was a bystander for one thing. For Miggy, he just stood there and left the space wide open. And then, of course, he set up Isak for an assist. Yeah, I mean, he was terrible. He looks like he's been dragged through a hedge as well. Get out of it. Rubbish.
But Sheffield United actually gave Spurs and Man City a decent game. You know, they weren't far away from picking points up in those games. So,
yeah,
I wasn't really expecting
they weren't hungover either.
Yeah, they weren't hungover from the Champions League.
Yeah,
so
we were hungover.
But we did this a few times last season as well. Not to this extent, but we just turned up and absolutely blew teams away. Like I think we've scored 4 goals, something like 8 times in the league last season. So when it happens, it just happens, and teams just don't know what to do. You know, they can't cope with us.
I think the weird thing was them times. A lot of the times that happened last year, we'd spoken about it's coming. Someone's going to cop it. Like, but this season there's been no real signs of that. Like I think we've been pretty average our first few games, both in performance and results. Like this kind of come from nowhere, really.
Villa, I mean, we pretty much destroyed Villa as well, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
after that,
yeah, I mean, their heads went down and we just took advantage and smelled the blood, you know, and then we had a bit of a struggle, and then, we've done it again. And it won't be the last time we do it, and do it this season either, I don't think, you know. As long as we're not on the wrong side of it, I'm happy to see these scorelines.
But you've got to look at the fixtures as well, you know, like it's hard when you lose to good teams because you think, oh, you know, we've lost confidence. When are we going to pick up again? You worry that we're not going to. It's going to be a struggle. But we're a good team, you know. We're a Champions League team for a reason. So as soon as it clicks and as soon as we start playing teams who are not, up until now, we've only played top half teams, you know. So to be sitting in 8th here with a goal difference like we've got now as well, that could be important come the end of the season. So to be sitting there with, you know, with a chance next week, we're going to make up ground on a couple of the teams above us because they play each other. So we could be 6th, you know, we could, and then the league's looking a lot more like what we hoped it would. And we've got hard games against Man City and Brighton away out the way as well. So it's looking a lot more rosy than it was a week ago.
So if we win the next game, is that crisis officially over then, is it?
I think crisis definitely over if we win the next game. It's not the 8-0 win. That's not crisis over yet.
Yeah.
There'll still be people on social media bitching about something, trust me.
Oh, yeah, it was only Sheffield United. They're only promoted team, blah, blah, blah. All right, moving along, we'll quickly touch on the Man City Carabao Cup game Wednesday morning. Or was it Thursday morning?
Thursday morning.
I can't remember. Yeah. Thursday morning. Are you expecting basically a new 11, Jack, for that game?
Probably, yeah. I think Man City are going to play kids, like probably literal kids, because I think they usually try and toss this off, but they're usually too good, so that the kids still beat teams. But I think we'll change the whole team, and I think that's fine. I think that the new fullbacks will get a game. Lascelles, Dubravka, you know, they're all going to come in. Maybe
I actually wouldn't be surprised if Dummett played left centre back with Lascelles as well to give him a run out. I think Miley Anderson and Tonali,
Murphy, Richie might play. Yeah, Tonali. So I think we're still going to have a strong team, but I think there will be big changes.
Yeah. Lee? You think they'll do the same thing then?
Well, absolutely, and that's the correct approach as well. You know, I mean, last season we did tremendously well, far better than anyone expected us to do in this particular competition. I'm not a fan of the League Cup. I've said it before. It's meaningless to me, but I know I appreciate that everyone wants us to win a trophy, including myself. And this is the quickest, shortest route to get into a situation where you can win a trophy. So, you know, there is value to it in that sense. But there again, you know, even if we get beat by City, it's not the end of the world, because we could probably do with not having this competition to worry about anyway, given that we've got Champions League, albeit Champions League is probably going to be 6 games, and, you know, I don't want to sort of hex us, but like, nobody's expecting us to get out of the group, you know, so that'll be gone soon. So I think it will be a balance between some experience and some kids, and then obviously, like, you'll have to have people on the bench as well. It might be that all the experience is on the bench and starts with the less experienced players to start with, and he's got that ability to change things up. It'll be interesting to see how important Eddie Howe sees this game. He's not one to take games lightly, but we've not had the Champions League to worry about before, and now we do, and that's far more important to the club than this thing is. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we do, but there will be changes. There'll be plenty of changes, absolutely.
Like Jack said, though, I think with the way our squad's now, we can field a whole new 11 and still have a really strong side out. Like, you think Isak might start, Tonali might start, probably Almiron. And everyone's been, well, most people have been clamouring for Hall to start, especially the last month. So it's going to be really exciting for him to get a run out as well. And I think it's going to be really important for them to get as much game time as they can, because they're probably going to be needed over the next probably 2 months, especially.
Was this game, with this game against Sheffield, was this the first time that Hall and Tino have been on the pitch at the same time?
No, Livramento come on at, was it Man City? He come on as a left winger. Right winger, sorry. That was Hall's debut, though. That was his first time he stepped on the pitch in
debut.
I was going to say a black and white shirt, but it won't. The carbon and yellow shirt. Hopefully, I think he'll wear his black and white one for the first time Thursday morning.
Yeah,
but it's still not the most important game of this week, though. You know, like the Burnley game's far more important. We need to win that Burnley game and to keep going at the league. So. But if I haven't said that, if we can beat Man City, then that's one of the biggest obstacles to get into the final of this out of the way. We didn't turn up in the final last season, unfortunately. So, and we've got beaten by a pretty shit Man United team, in fairness. So, like, there's a bit of unfinished business there. Whether it's against Man United, you know, I think we want to win something. This is probably the best chance. But yeah, like I think we've got a good chance of getting out the Champions League group as well. Actually, after that draw, you know, let's see how the home games go. But even if we finish third in the Champions League group, then we'll go into the Europa League, which would be one of the favourites to win that. So
yeah, I reckon
enjoy the ride.
Of us too. Yeah, like obviously Mbappe got Newcastle-itis over the weekend, so he's scared to come to St James's Park, which I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to.
Doesn't want to play in the cold, does he?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to go there either if I was a nice, warm French person. So, yeah, that could be one less headache we need to for one of the biggest clubs in the world in a couple of weeks' time. I think it's next. Is it next week? I think it is next week.
Yeah, it's a week on week on Thursday, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, Mbappe is supposed to be all right, actually. He'll probably feature in the next game, Champions League game.
Oh, what a pussy.
Next league game. Yeah, the manager said that he's fine. Or should be fine.
I hope he's talking shit. Anyway, that'll do for us tonight, boys. Appreciate you jumping on. I hope you revel in the week. It's a great week when your team's in the grand final. And my advice is, being the still reigning premier, is don't fight it. Just suck it all in, embrace and take on as much as you can, because you never know when you're going to get into another one. So don't play it down and say, "Oh, we'll see what happens" and stuff. Not like. Live it and bring it on. You'd rather give all of yourself and enjoy the fullest than sort of leave a bit of yourself inside and not get to enjoy it as much as what you could have. So take it all on, drink it in, and I'll be rooting for you guys on Saturday, because I couldn't think of anything worse than fucking Collingwood winning a grand final.
Too right.
So I think honestly, you'd have 95% of the football community going for Brisbane as well, because I don't think anyone wants to see Collingwood win the grand final. So, good luck for that, boys, and I hope you have a really enjoyable week and a really, really enjoyable Saturday.
Thanks,
I
mate.
will have an enjoyable week after that. Very, very nice. Let's hope
Yes.
next weekend's as good as this weekend.
Yes, that'd be great. Thanks everyone for joining us. Yeah, so tune in later on in the week. We'll have our Carabao Cup review and we'll touch on the Burnley game coming up this weekend. So thanks everyone for your time and we'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Whoa.